Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to get into a topic that's incredibly personal and really, really important. The emotional disconnect that can sometimes happen between a mother and her child.
It's a feeling that goes against just about everything we're told parenthood is supposed to be. So many parents, and mothers especially, find themselves struggling with this sense of distance, a feeling of detachment that just doesn't line up with that picture-perfect image.
And if that's you, if you've ever felt that way, the absolute most important thing for you to hear is that you are so far from being alone. This is way more common than people talk about. It's often hidden behind this wall of shame and silence.
I'm going to say that one more time because it is crucial. It is not your fault. So let's actually dive in and understand why this happens. And this is the most important part, how we can start to rebuild that connection. Okay, first things first, we've got to be clear on what we're actually talking about here. This isn't just, having an off day or being a little stressed. It's a much more specific emotional state.
At its core, it's a disruption in that really foundational bond. Now, this can look like a lot of different things. It could be these brief moments where you feel totally overwhelmed, almost numb. Or it can be a more constant, nagging difficulty in really connecting. It's a whole spectrum, and any experience on that spectrum is completely valid.
So, if it's not some kind of personal failure, then what's really causing this gap? Look, this has nothing to do with blame. It's about pulling back the curtain and seeing all the intense pressures. We're talking biological, psychological, and even environmental that can get in the way of bonding.
And one of the biggest factors is postpartum depression. It affects about 13% of mothers all over the world. That's a huge number, and it makes it one of the single biggest risk factors for these feelings of disconnect.
And you can see the ripple effect right here. Research is pretty clear that infants whose moms are dealing with depression are almost twice as likely to develop what's called a non-secure attachment. Now, that's not a judgment on the mother's love at all. It's just the tough reality of what this condition can do to that early interaction.
But the key thing to get is that the causes are, they're layered. It can be rooted in mental health, sure, but also in unresolved trauma or just chronic, unrelenting stress. And hey, in our world today, even something as simple as digital distraction, being lost in our phones, what some people call phubbing, that can slowly chip away at our connection too.
Now, this whole disconnect thing, it's not a one-way street. It doesn't just impact the parent. It can have these really profound, measurable effects on a child's development right from the very beginning. And the potential outcomes are pretty serious. Kids might have a harder time forming those secure attachments that are so important for all their future relationships. We can even see things like delays in language or a real struggle to learn how to manage their big feelings. It can even physically alter how their brain develops. Okay, I know that all sounds pretty heavy, but here comes the most hopeful, the most powerful part of this whole conversation. The answer, the solution, it has nothing to do with being a perfect parent who never ever feels disconnected.
Just think about it for a second. Is any relationship you really care about completely free of arguments or misunderstandings? Of course not, right? So why would we hold parenting to this impossible, perfect standard?
Exactly. The goal isn't to somehow avoid every moment of disconnect. Researchers call these ruptures. The real, truly achievable goal is to get good at repairing them. Coming back together. That's what really matters.
This cycle, this is everything. So a rupture happens. A parent gets distracted, they snap, they just don't get what the kid needs. Then, and this is the magic part, the parent comes back and initiates a repair. They circle back, they acknowledge what happened, and they reconnect. And in that process, the child learns one of the most vital lessons in life, that relationships are strong enough to handle mistakes, and that connection can always be found again. That's how you build real trust.
And look, a repair doesn't have to be some big, complicated thing. It can be as simple and as powerful as this. It's just about owning your part of it and then immediately reminding them of the love and safety that's always underneath.
So how do we actually do this? Let's talk about some real concrete strategies, things that are backed by evidence that can help us find our way back to that connection. What's great is that there's no single right way to do this. The paths to reconnection are really diverse. For some people, it's about treating an underlying issue like depression with therapy. For others, it might be a program that offers hands-on coaching to help you read your baby's cues better. And honestly, for all of us, just practicing a little bit of mindfulness can make a huge difference in fighting off all those distractions.
So, what can you actually do? The secret is to start small and just be kind to yourself.
Find support. You are not meant to do this alone. Make your own mental health a priority. Look for tiny little moments of connection, and every single time a rupture happens, try to see it not as a failure, but as another chance to practice getting good at repair.
And that really brings us to the main takeaway. Healing this connection isn't about some huge dramatic gesture. It's built in all the small, quiet, everyday moments of just turning back towards your child after you've turned away. It's in the quick apology, the extra hug, that split second of eye contact. So the question to leave with is this: what's one small moment of repair that you can create today?